Being able to develop good habits that take you closer to your goals is one of the most important skills you can have in the modern day. And I promise you that if you have the discipline to dedicate yourself to watching this entire video where I summarize the most popular self-improvement book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, you will be able to do just that. That is my promise for you today. James Clear had a very rough and inspiring life before he became the best self-help author in the entire world. He was a rising star in the game of baseball, when one day, one of his teammates hit the ball and the bat fell out of his hand, which flew right into James's face and left him with a lot of devastating injuries, which caused him to be in a coma for several days, and later having to work really hard in rehab. After months of hard work, he finally recovered, but he knew he wouldn't be able to play baseball for a long time, and so he started working on developing good habits. While his peers played video games, James worked on developing good habits, getting into the gym, and becoming the best version of himself, which is probably something that a lot of us can relate to. After a few months of this, the small changes he made in his life started piling up, and he managed to achieve a lot of success, like for example, building a good physique or starting a very successful newsletter, which he would later turn into a multi-million-dollar business. And there are three main takeaways that James Clear talks about in his book, which I want to teach you today. The first is that small lifestyle changes compound over time. Most people are addicted to instant gratification. They want everything immediately, and they are impatient. If I were to ask you, what is the most common thing people set goals for? It's fitness, right? The way a lot of people go about this is that they set a goal for themselves to lose, for example, 10 pounds this month. They get super motivated and start going on runs, eating a super healthy diet, and so on. But then, a few days later, they return back to their old habits. They stop exercising and they start eating like crap once again. This is a stupid way to go about it. It's like if a skinny kid who has never been to the gym sets a goal for benching 100 kilograms, which is an okay goal and there's nothing wrong with that. But if he goes there for the first time and tries it immediately, he obviously won't make it. That's stupid, right? He'll end up getting crushed. But this is essentially what most people are doing after they set a goal. They do too many things at once, and so they get burned out and just end up quitting. Instead, you need to start with the small habits and gradually increase the volume. For example, when you're starting your weight loss journey, don't set yourself a goal to run every day. Set yourself a goal to run every week, and gradually increase that number from 1 day to 7 days a week. And chances are, you already know this stuff. You know that if you overdo something, you'll get tired and you won't want to continue. It's just that for things like this, people get their ego involved too much and they end up ignoring common sense. Most people overestimate their discipline, and so they end up making stupid decisions like this. You might not be doing exactly this, but I promise you that somewhere in your life, you're probably doing too many things at once. And that is why you keep burning out. So next time you set a goal, always think about how you can gradually develop small habits that take you closer to them. It's not as sexy as completely trying to change your life all at once, but it will work much better for you, because you're not gonna burn out this way. This is the concept of progressive overload. This term is used mostly in the gym, and it basically means that every 1 or 2 weeks you add some weight to your lifts. This way you can always make sure that you keep gaining strength and muscle. And this is basically what you need to do here as well. When developing a new habit, you must apply progressive overload. So next time you set a goal, start with the small habits and gradually go up. The second main takeaway we can learn from this book can be summarized with the sentence: we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. In this part of the book, James Clear says that you could realistically go without actually setting clear goals, like for example, get to 1k a month or lose 10 kilograms of weight, and just say, okay, I want to lose weight, or I want to make money, and then work on developing the systems that will help you get there. But this is a bit of a controversial take, because having goals can be very motivating. When you have a goal, a place you're striving to get to, it can be very motivating and help you go harder. But also, there are people who don't like setting goals and just working on the systems. But I personally don't. I think that striving for goals is a masculine trait, and if you take that away, you lose a lot of life enjoyment. But I also think that just setting a goal without thinking about the small systems won't get you far either. I think the middle is the sweet spot. I think you should have goals, but also work on the systems that get you closer to them. If you want to lose weight, you should set a clear goal of how much weight you want to lose. But then also start working on developing systems that will help you achieve that goal. For example, you figure out that you eat the most late in the evening. So the system you could use here is simply to go to bed earlier. Or figure out that your appetite is lowest in the morning, so you eat mostly in the morning. If you can figure out a few systems like this for the goals you have in your life, you are going to be miles ahead of everyone else who hasn't, because now it's much easier for you. And the third main takeaway, which is actually my favorite, is that habits don't stick unless we alter our identities. If a video gamer wants to get into working out to get jacked, he's not going to be as consistent in the gym, because he still has the identity of a loser video gamer. Likewise, because of this identity, it will be much harder for him to quit video games, because he might be able to develop an identity of a guy who goes to the gym, but he still has that video gamer identity, so he's gonna keep wasting time on video games. And so how do you actually change your identity? Well, it all comes down to your conscious and subconscious mind. Right now, if you have the identity of a video gamer, it is ingrained in your subconscious mind, and so you randomly get thoughts that convince you to play video games. In fact, it is probably going on right now as I'm talking about this, and you maybe don't even realize it. And so to get rid of this old identity and develop a new one, you need to manually implant thoughts that you as your new identity would have. So for example, if you get some random thought that you as your video gamer identity would have, you pause and you forcefully say in your head positive thoughts like I'm an athlete, I'm disciplined, etc. And if you do this on a long enough time frame, over time, your identity will change, and it will be much easier to be consistent in the good habit or be able to quit the bad one. The thing I also like a lot about this book is that it talks a lot about changing your environment in order to change your habits. A lot of people these days say that changing your environment isn't actually that important, that it's much better to have a bad environment to train your willpower. And while that statement has some truth in it, using your willpower drains you, and therefore you won't be able to focus on the things that actually matter. Changing your environment is crucial when it comes to changing your habits. For example, if you want to start drinking more water, you make sure that there is always a filled up water bottle next to you, so you don't have to go through the hassle of going to the sink and filling up a glass. You remove the friction by changing your environment, and this goes for every good habit you want to implement. If you want to start working out in the morning, then you go and put on your workout clothes the night before. This way, you remove the friction of putting them on in the morning. You might think that this is not that important, that putting your workout clothes on in the morning isn't that big of a deal. But the truth is, it is usually these small things that stop you from actually doing the good habit. And so removing the friction in habits you want to get more consistent in is actually very important. And the same thing actually goes for bad habits. If you want to get rid of them, you need to add friction. So for example, if you want to stop wasting so much time on social media, you add friction to it by putting on a blocker that you will have to remove every time you go on there. Or you uninstall the app completely, so you have to reinstall it every time you want to go on there, or go on the slow browser version. It's these small things that are going to take you miles ahead of your competition. If you improve yourself by just 1% every day, you will be 37 times better at the end of the year. And this is the thought I want to leave you with today. Minor day-to-day changes make major differences. Alright, make sure you implement everything you've learned today. Scroll down, click on the subscribe button, share this video with a friend who needs to improve his habits, go join the Discord with the first link in the description, and bye. And by the way, I'm also planning to start making full guides for those who join my member section. Currently, the price is around $2. So if you buy before the first free guide comes out, which is in about a week, you're gonna get the next guide for only $2, while others will probably get them for like $15. So if you buy right now, you're basically saving $13. I'm not saying that you need to buy it, but if you're interested in watching full long-form unedited guides on various self-improvement topics, now's the best time to buy. Alright, I'll see you there. Go do something productive now, and bye.